Hey guys, Maverick here from the Achievement Nation, and welcome to the second episode of our Battlefield 3 guide. In this episode, we will be covering all of the soldier specializations, or in other words, the perks. Last episode, I made a very quick guide to damaging tanks that covers most of the more common tools like the RPG, Javelin, and other tanks. If you missed that episode, don't worry, these guides are not in any logical order, and you don't have to watch all of them. But if you would like to, there will be an annotation at the end of this video. So let's jump into the perks. First up, we got Sprint. Sprint will increase your running speed by 10%. It will not increase normal walking speed, side-to-side movements, or anything else. So 10% might not sound like a whole lot, and it's not. But sometimes with the maps being so big, it can take a few minutes of running to get to where you want to go. And that extra 10% speed bonus can really help you. Also, think of it as a 10% better chance of surviving while running away from a helicopter or a tank. It will also be 10% easier to evade long-range attacks. While the person shooting you is still adjusting to your speed, guessing the bullet drop and moving their scope to the right spot, you might just have enough time to run into the nearest building or behind cover. And if you're using a close-range weapon, Sprint will help you move across fields and keep you in the close-range engagements that you want to be in. Sprint is definitely the perk with the most passive benefits. Whether you're running out of your spawn or attacking the enemy objective, Squad Sprint will ensure that your team is right there by your side. The extra 10% speed bonus has always helped my squad and I complete the objective and achieve victory, with just a few moments to spare. Been running out of ammo lately? Well, next up is the ammo perk. Ammo is pretty straightforward to explain, so this shouldn't take long. Both ammo and squad ammo will increase the amount of ammunition that you spawn with and can carry by 50%. This will only give you more bullet ammunition for your primary and secondary. No extra grenades, rockets, or equipment will be provided. Obviously, this is a good choice for a squad without a reliable support kit, and also ideal for the less accurate spraying weapons like the FAMAS, AEK, or any of the PDWs. In fact, I wouldn't recommend using those guns without the ammo perk since they'll end up running out of ammunition fairly quickly. In order to stay alive in Battlefield 3, you need the ammunition, but when the enemy forces don't back down, you're going to need the capacity. Need some more firepower? Well, next up is Frag. Frag will double the amount of grenades you start with and can carry. To be honest, Frag just doesn't compare to the other perks. Grenades don't do enough damage and destruction isn't as important in Battlefield 3 as it was in Bad Company 2. The only time I find myself or teammates using Squad Frag is on smaller maps like Grand Bazaar, but more often than not they're still sitting on an ammo pack while they chuck grenades. Unless grenades start doing damage to tanks, Frag isn't for me, and although I wouldn't recommend Frag for Conquest or even Team Deathmatch, grenades and destruction proves to be very useful in Rush. Rush is going to have less support kits, more medics with grenade launchers, and more enemies in the same place. So whether you're suppressing a room full of enemies, making your own doorway with an explosion, or laying down a wall of smoke, Squad Frag will help you and your team follow the strategy. If enemy grenades become a problem, then you could try Flak. Flak reduces the damage that explosions cause to you by 10%. The 10% doesn't sound like much, but just like Sprint, it will passively help you in a lot of situations. With Flak, you will take 10% less damage from any kind of explosive. This includes grenades, RPGs, tanks, helicopters, mortars, and any other explosives that I didn't mention. My main role in Battlefield 3 is an aggressive anti-tank soldier. My job includes taking down enemy armor and planting tank mines while also having a good setup to slay anybody that gets in my way. So as you can imagine, I'm usually a pretty high priority for the tanks and I do get blown up a fair bit. With Squad Flak, incoming explosions turn into less of a threat, and will give your squad the confidence to take on enemy armor and survive. Still need help taking down those tanks? Next up is Explode. Explode doubles the amount of explosives that you spawn with and can carry, except for grenades. You'll go from having 4 RPGs to 8, from 3 Stinger missiles to 6, and from 2 Javelin rockets to 4. I really wouldn't recommend being an engineer without having Explode, especially if you're going to use the Javelin. On top of getting extra rockets, Explode will also give you double the amount of C4, Claymore, and tank mines. Being an anti-tank soldier, as I described myself earlier, means that I'll be using my rockets a lot. And not to brag here, but I'm definitely an above average player, so I'll be alive for a long time and I still might need even more rockets. And that's why Explode is my personal favorite perk. because when the enemy armor attacks the area, and the rest of our team hides, Explode will help cause the required damage. Alright, well next is Suppression and Cover, but to fully understand the importance of these perks, we need to first talk a little bit about Suppression in general. Suppression happens when your bullets graze or just miss an enemy. This will cause their screen to get very blurry, their sound will be distorted, and most importantly, they'll lose accuracy and their hip spread will get larger. Some weapons will cause more suppression than others because the amount of suppression that you cause has to do with the caliber of bullets that you're using. That's why if you're being shot at by a pistol, you can usually still turn around and win the gunfight, but if you're being shot at with a light machine gun, it's going to be a lot harder. The Suppression perk will increase the suppression that you cause by 25%, and Squad Suppression will increase that to 50% for the whole squad, making just about every assist give you an added 50 XP for a suppression bonus. After hearing about that, you probably want to use Cover. Cover will decrease the incoming suppression by 25%, and Squad Cover will decrease it by 33%. Cover is a very important perk to use on the more accurate weapons like the G3A3. It shoots very slow and only has 20 rounds in the magazine, so in most gunfights, missing your target can mean your death. And you might be thinking, well, if I'm using the G3A3, who cares if my crosshairs get larger? I'm going to be aiming down the sights anyway. Well, accuracy in Battlefield 3 is a little different than in most other shooters. Games like Call of Duty use hit scans, meaning that your gun will shoot invisible lasers that cause damage to anything it flies through, and the laser will fire directly from the iron sights. But in Battlefield 3, every bullet is a projectile affected by weight and gravity, and most importantly, when you aim down your sights, you're still going to have crosshairs, but now they're invisible and very small. Being suppressed will hurt accurate weapons a lot, and Cover will help counter that. Hopefully everyone now understands Suppression and why it's such a big deal. When I first got Battlefield 3, I looked at Suppression and Cover as very useless perks. I wanted to focus more on perks that gave instant gratification, like Ammo or Explode. But now if someone already has Squad Explode on, or I'm not playing as an engineer, I'll always choose Squad Suppression. Also on the topic of perks, I find it kind of annoying that the game doesn't tell you what perks you currently have equipped. For example, if you start a game in a squad of 4 people, you spawn with no perks and someone spawns second with Squad Sprint, and then the 2 other players also spawn without anything. All 3 other squad mates are going to have Sprint and you aren't. Now I'm not asking that the developers give you perks mid-life just because a teammate equipped it. But sometimes I'll be alive for a very long time. Some teammates might leave and we'll get new ones with new perks. And unless I remember the exact perks that I had when I spawned, I have no practical way of knowing what I have on right now. So I would like there to be an option that we can enable that shows your current perks on the screen. Maybe right here above your health is a good spot, or maybe you can drag it anywhere you'd like. Now not knowing the exact perks that you have on isn't that big of a deal, but from personal experience with coding I know it's not something that would be hard to add. Even if they threw it somewhere in the leaderboard menu, that would be very convenient. So personally I'm going to tweet out at Battlefield and suggest this to them. If you agree with me and want this to be implemented too, then you could also tweet them. And while you're there, you can follow us at Achieve Nation. You can be notified when we upload and any other plans that we have for the channel. I just wanted to mention that because this is one of the first videos on our channel, and I want to make sure that everyone is aware that we have a Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter and still want to help implement this into the game, or at least into Battlefield 4, you can help by sharing this video by just commenting your thoughts or leaving some feedback. And if you want to come back to this video for information, make sure to add it to your watch later or favorites. Anyway, Nation, thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, if you've learned something, then maybe I've earned something. This has been Maverick from the Achievement Nation, signing off.